Hi, I'm David,
Hi, I'm Jelena.
and welcome to our tutorial.
Welcome.
What is it on, you might ask? Or you probably saw the title and that's why you clicked on it. It's about how to lift between Navasanas. And this action of lifting has a name, Tolasana, scales pose. It's kind of like Tolasana. It's a little bit different in that your feet are in front of you.
Okay, I'm not sure that totally matters, does it? What this video will do is kind of break down the ways you can progress and eventually work towards lifting your whole body up if this is something that you're having a hard time with. So we'll give you a few options to work up to a full lift.
Yep, that's it. But before we do that, have you subscribed? You should probably subscribe and like, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of this, what you want to see. We love to hear from you. Okay, so this is a lift in between Navasana, and this is part of our practice, Ashtanga in the Primary Series. We do Navasana 5 times, 5 sets of 5 breaths, and in between each one, we are counted Ashtau, inhale, lift up, and then exhale, you come back down, Sapta, inhale into the pose again. And this little lift that we do, I would say that it's an elemental part of the practice in a way, because you want to get good at this lift for jump throughs, jump backs, Upliti, all these different actions as well. But a lot of people have trouble doing it. Maybe you do. Maybe that's why you clicked on this video.
And I think there's few reasons why you might have a hard time, including the fact that Navasana marks the halfway point in our practice. And so you've already been jumping through and jumping back and working, working hard maybe, but still working. And so by the time you come to this point, not only do you have to hold Navasana, which gets your whole body on fire, but then in between you're supposed to do this lift, which adds an extra challenge, even though, as David's saying, that movement itself has been repeated in the practice beforehand.
Yeah, it does feel like this is this moment, Navasana, it's a bit of a pinnacle in, like the peak of work. Marachasana D is pretty tough too. It's uncomfortable for a lot of people getting into it. And then Navasana is just kind of brute
endurance and strength. Yeah.
And so, and then you got to lift up in between, which is the last thing you want to do after holding Navasana. You want to kind of collapse and melt into the floor.
It's not so bad if you're doing Mysore practice, because then you're in charge of the 5 breaths, that you hold Navasana for. But then you show up to a lead class and you realize you've been cheating all along and you're going to pay the price for it now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Right.
So let's start. So first, let's get a look at what it is that we're trying to do. The hands are beside just in front of the hips. We're going to cross the legs and inhale as we lift up, and then exhale, come down. And that one's kind of extra fancy. Jelena's lifting up and pulling all the way back and through. Usually we could even just do something like this, where we cross the legs and lift up and then come back down. Okay, so how's that happening? It's happening because Jelena is able to hold a lot of compression between the torso and the legs. She's able to maintain that contraction, the flexion in the hips. See how the knees are staying close to the shoulders? And when she pushes into the hands and straightens the arms to get lift, to get elevation, she's able to hold on to the flexion, and that's what lifts the feet off the floor. So I know it often feels like it's arm strength, or shoulder strength. It can be a little bit. Mm-hmm. Or it can feel like your arms are too short. We hear that a lot.
Well, my arms are short, so I was just going to say my lift doesn't look as impressive as some people's.
I think it looks great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But just because when I straighten my arms, there isn't a lot of room to lift. Versus someone that has longer arms, it actually makes it a little bit easier.
No, we've talked before about your freakishly short arms and about sort of all the work you've done to overcome that. And that I am impressed, and I think probably most of our audience is too.
Okay.
Okay.
Was not fishing for any compliments.
All right. So, well, maybe let's start facing, or did you have something you wanted to say there in that position? Let's start this way, and let's talk about the leg position here. So, first easy thing that you can do that's really going to change the work here is crossing the shins instead of the ankles. Do you see how crossing the shins changes the angle of the shin? So that here, when the ankles are crossed, the angle is pointed down. When we cross higher up on the shin, the angle is more parallel to the floor. And so that's already going to give you a little bit of height to work with here. And then you're worrying more about lifting your bum than your feet. Okay, step one. Two is let the knees open away from each other. Don't try to keep your knees squeezed together. That is going to make it even harder to pull everything in together because it really, it's like a forward bend. Imagine if you're just doing a forward bend on the floor with your legs extended and your hamstrings or your hips are tight. It's harder like this than it is like this, right? You take the hamstrings out of the equation when you open the legs. So we're going to cross the shins higher, and instead of bringing the knees to the chest, think about bringing the knees to the shoulders.
Yeah, that's always my cue, knees to the shoulders. And then you'll feel that kind of relaxes some of the hip flexors. Here, they're not working as hard as when you're squeezing in this way. And the more you can relax your hip flexors, it will allow your knees to come closer, get you more into that round compression, which is the key to lifting.
Yeah. And so now from the side, this is an important part too. What Jelena is saying is she's not, if she's sitting up really straight, this is a good way if you're trying to strengthen your hip flexors and you sit up straight, this exercise where you just lift your leg into the air. This really works on.
Here,
yeah.
I see.
So we don't need to make this any harder than it is already, right? So don't sit up straight. Let yourself round and tuck your tailbone under so that you're rolling back on the sacrum, and then bring your knees to your shoulders. It's much easier to get the legs close to the body that way, and your spine is kind of helping you, by rolling your chest towards your knees. As you bring your knees towards your chest, everything kind of fits together. If Jelena is sitting up straight and trying to pull the legs in, suddenly she's kind of working against herself, right? She's making her hip flexors do all the work because the spine isn't kind of cooperating. Okay, so we've got that round back, we've got the shins crossed, and we've got the knees towards the shoulders. And then the hands are going to come down just a little bit in front of the hips. So not right beside your hips, because you don't have enough balance here to lift up. Everything's in front of the arms. We want to kind of distribute the weight on both sides of the arms. So the hands are somewhere in between the feet and the hips. And Jelena, as she straightens her arms, she's going to do a little rock forward into the straight arms here to lift up. And so even with all of those expert tips and really incredible guidance, you still might not be able to get up off the floor because it's hard. It's hard to hold the contraction. So you can do this, you can work towards it in steps.
Mm-hmm. So the first option you would have is you have exactly the same setup that we just talked you through it. So, rounding the lower back, pull the belly in, bring the knees to your chest. And now here as you lift, stay in that rounded position, stay in that tucked position, but then just come onto your toes and then come back down. And then you go here. And then you can even switch each time you lift. So here, notice I'm not leaning forward and then trying to straighten my back. This makes it really hard to lift. And in my case, I can't even lift because my arms are so short. So make sure from here, staying in that tucked position, and then the tips of the toes, or maybe even just one foot touches the floor, and I stay in round as I lift, and then come back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one other thing too is your arms. We mentioned this before, but when your arms are below your shoulder and you're working on it, you'll want to keep the arms in a slight inward rotation. So that means that the inner elbow joints, you can see here, the eyes of Jelena's elbows are going to spin in towards the body, and then she's going to push through the hands. And it's by kind of depressing the scapula and really keeping that connection that when she pushes into the hands, the hips lift off the floor. If she goes the other way and locks the elbows out and brings the scapula towards each other, she's kind of taking the strength away from the shoulders. And you can see she's putting herself into more of a straight line. Inward rotation, it kind of helps us find that nice flexion in the spine as well. Inward rotation of the arms, because it protracts the scapula. So we want to protract and depress the scapula when we're lifting up. Don't retract them, Don't squeeze them together. We see that sometimes. Yeah, and then eventually, or maybe from the start, try to get your breath to coordinate with the movement. So we go from the last Navasana here. This would be all on an inhale. We would go Ashtanga, inhale, cross the legs, hands down, lift, and then exhale, come down. Inhale, back into position. Okay? Breathing really helps. Good.
I'm just going to show all the steps. And then the grand finale.
So do you want to give a tip for how to do that?
I mean, don't do it. I don't really do that one so much anymore, do you?
No, but I see you do it sometimes. Yeah.
I'll do it just to prove to myself that I still have strength for it. But I'm like, there's better ways I can use my energy throughout the practice.
Yeah.
But that one would be the extension, again, of all the same work we've done. But now here, after I lift, there's a key movement that happens, which is allowing the weight of my head and my shoulders to kind of tip forward a little bit to allow the hips and the legs to go back.
To pull back and through, yeah.
Yeah, and then I come back down. So here, so it's same work, same. I lift, but then here.
Oh yeah. It's funny, your torso moves and then obviously your hips and your legs, but your shoulders stay in the same place.
Of course, they have to stay, but the idea is that you're tipping,
Yeah.
but you're not actually, because the arms are staying
So you're not
straight.
You're not leaning your shoulders forward too much more when you're lifting up.
No, I'm staying somewhere between the wrist and my fingertips.
Okay, well there you have it. Ashtanga in Navasana. And like we said at the beginning, it's a great movement or a great skill to kind of work on. It builds a ton of core strength, but I find especially pelvic floor strength, really good for pelvic floor strength. And then that's going to make a big difference in the rest of your practice and in the rest of your life, actually.
So the pelvic floor meaning like kind of finding that lift.
Yeah,
down here,
your ability
up.
to contract the muscles of the pelvic floor. Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe, like, let us know what you thought and what you want to see. Bye.
Ciao.